Hello, it is Mr. Scarlet here, and first video done in a while. If you're seeing this, it should be the 18th of December, but to me it's the previous day, it's about 9 o'clock-ish. That's not important. You're wondering why am I actually doing a video. So I decided to do one Doctor Who Festive special a day until Revolution of the Daleks. And every day after I watch that special, a review is going to come up on the channel, so that's what's basically going on here. So the first Festive special, so this is a Festive special, so ones that we had in Christmas and New Year's, and this is not doing the classic ones, because the only sort of episode in Classic Who that sort of deals with Christmas or New Year is the Feast of Stephen, which doesn't exist. So if any of you are classic fans, there, I'm saying it because I've seen it around on other people's YouTube channels. Yeah, so today I am starting off with the first one, the first Festive special. This was broadcast on the 25th of December 2005, so almost 15 years ago. Wow. This is Series 2, Episode X, or Episode 0 for Americans, if there are Americans watching this, and the Christmas Invasion. So, if you remember the previous episode, The Parting of the Ways in Bad Wolf, the Doctor's basically just come out fresh from a regeneration. He's just regenerated from Eccleston into Tennant, and Rosa's working in TARDIS. Yeah, they born again, and might likely touch on later on, but right now it's not important. Basically, the Doctor has sent, the Doctor and Rose have come back home. Honestly, that's a good point. I never understood why they did this, because it was probably because of the same. But in the universe, why Rose had literally just been in present day in the previous episode. For them, she basically just jumped over a few months to see him again. For Jackie and Mickey, but that's aside the point. The TARDIS. The episode opens on the same shot that we got in Rose. The moon, we see the moon in orbit and go to the Earth, and then so basically what I'm going to do, I should have already said this, I'm going to do a basic plot line on what I think all the major characters in the episode, what happens with them, do they do anything special in this, and I've got my notes right beside me, so if I go down to look, it's honestly I should have had that ready. So yeah, I actually made notes. That's something weird for the people who do know me that are watching this. Make notes. I don't often make notes. Yeah. This is basically talking about the plot as brief as I can, and then the characters, major characters from this specific episode. That's not just the main cast, not just the Doctor and Rose who are the main cast. This is going to involve the Doctor, Rose, Jackie, Mickey, and how did I just forget her name? She's literally, whenever she's on, she always mentions her name. Harriet Jones. Them definitely, and there might be two others that I might discuss on, like 2 or 3 others. Yeah. So basic plot. From the end of the Parting of the Ways, the Doctor's regenerated, and TARDIS is crashing. Mickey and Jackie are doing different things. Jackie's putting presents underneath the tree because it's Christmas Eve 2006. It's set in Christmas Eve 2006 or 2005. Just saying that to all this I'm a pedantic person and I'm saying that. And then Mickey's doing some repairs on the car. Right, that's besides the point. Yeah, the TARDIS crash lands weird, and then the Doctor falls out, and comes out and says Merry Christmas to them, and then falls unconscious and Rose come out of the TARDIS. Cold. That's a cold open. And then we go to the title sequence. What next? I don't know why I'm looking up there. Nothing up there. The next important point is the Doctor is unstable in his regeneration, like he's fainted, and so he stays in the bed, and nothing really happens apart from to this like action feature apart from one point where we see Harriet Jones again on the TV, and they talk about the Guinevere 1 program, and we see David Llewellyn, I don't know who plays him, and they talk about the Guinevere 1 space probe, and then the next major thing we see is Rose and Mickey. They're in the town doing some Christmas shopping, and they get attacked by pilot fish, as the Doctor calls them, but they're officially called the roboforms. And just after the turn onto Christmas Day, so just a few minutes after midnight, the Guinevere 1 space probe has released images apparently from Mars, even though they're not, and we see these Sycorax. And then David Llewellyn goes to UNIT and is told that these are not Martians, and they get someone, Alex, which is Harriet Jones' right hand man. They try and translate what's going on. Harriet Jones does a Christmas broadcast trying to find a doctor, and then the guys who applied to the Sycoraxic message there, they get teleported aboard because they sent a reply to them, and then they got this reply of weird blue light. They're on a ship, which is, I forgot to mention, there's a ship above them, and there's, there's 1/3 of the world's population being controlled by blood, A positive, and they're all standing on high buildings. Should have mentioned that. Oops. And then basically, what happens after that? There's four people are transported to the ship on the unit major, Alex, and Harriet Jones' right hand man, Harriet Jones, and David Llewellyn, and basically, Harriet Jones tries to put herself forward as a representative of the planet. I understand why she should say that, but that is totally incorrect. Like, UNIT would have a more authoritative thing because they're used by every nation. She's just the leader of one nation. And David Llewellyn wants to talk to them after they've unmasked themselves. They've taken their mask off, and we see the real face of them. Keep doing that, stopping. Why? So David Llewellyn wants to take responsibility for his actions because he put a positive blood on the on the Guinevere 1 space probe. And he is whipped to death like that. And then the Doctor Rose and Mickey take the Doctor onto the TARDIS because they don't know what else to do, and Jackie is got some food, and Jackie goes off. Buzz presses a button near the TARDIS screen, and then the Sycorax recognise it. The TARDIS is beamed me up Scotty style to the ship, and they basically talk in that about what the hell's going on. And then Rose, there's something quite important here, like people quite overlook this part of the episode. Rose tries to my brain's just gone there. Rose uses all of her knowledge that she's had in her adventures with the Doctor. She mentions the Shadow Proclamation, she mentions the Mighty Jaggerfest, the Sabine, the Gulf Confederation, the Parliament of Vaxicolic of Albatorius, said that right, and the Gulf Confederation, the Daleks. I mentioned, there might be other things that I mentioned. And nothing really happens, and they're speaking Sycorax, which they already were, and now they're beginning speaking English. It's like, why is this happening? And we already know, if you remember, the TARDIS telepathic circuits. That means the Doctor's awake. So the Doctor comes out beaming. And then he talks to Rose and Mickey, mostly, and a little bit to Harriet, and about him being new and he's not sure who he is, and also to the Sycorax leader. And then he talks about the blood control. Actually, this is when blood control is revealed. It's like, all these things. What am I? What am I not? Am I reckless? Am I rude? Am I a coward? Am I sexy? Never doing that again. And then he presses the button. People don't die. All a hoax, y'all. As they can't kill. You can't control someone to killing someone, or killing himself actually. Anyway, instinct, because of instinct. Which is, I think it's a fair enough reason for it. What else would I have to say about the episode? Because there's not much after that. The Doctor challenges the Sycorax leader to a fight. The Doctor's hand is cut off. No, it's this one. His new hand is a fighting hand. Yeah, I think it's his right hand, yeah. That looks right. Yes, his right hand is cut off. First 15 regenerate, because he's in with the first 15 hours of regeneration cycle. He has enough energy to reproduce that hand. So that's what he's doing. So that happens, and then the Doctor wins it, and he tells him to swear on the body of his on the Sycorax, and they'll never return to Earth. No second chances for Satsuma at the specific ball, semi-sphere or something, button, and the platform that splits open, and the Sycorax just falls down to Earth. Yeah. And then he tells them Earth is depended, and then they get sent back down, and then basically the only important things after that is that they do leave, they start to leave, and Harriet kills them. Ordered by Torchwood. On this Torchwood, because at this point when this was initially broadcast, nobody knows what Torchwood is. They had already been mentioned in the show once before, in beginning of Bad Wolf, in the Weakest Link. But that is, people are wondering, that's been said again, what? But yeah. So that's pretty much the end of the story, as brief as I could say it, maybe a bit long. So my points, let's go with, I would usually go with the Doctor first, because he's not usually in it so much. I'm going to go with Rose Tyler. What does she do in this episode? Well, at the beginning she's sort of like sad and that, because like something's happened to her. Like she's been traveling Doctor for a while, and then this thing changes. It's like, wait, what the heck? She even says, I forget he's not human. And the thing implies that she sometimes slips into a part where she thinks he is human, but then this is wakened that again properly. And yeah. And then, yeah, there was this scene when Rose Tyler goes to, they have the Christmas tree scene. Like, I'm going to kill a Christmas tree, yeah, she says, the Doctor helped me, and the Doctor awakened. Would that... yeah, but her sort of whining in a way, like, yeah, she wasn't completely whining, but she was close. It's sort of, like, she does eventually become an important part of the episode of trying to... She's, the Sycorax leader is claimed to be the person to represent this planet, and she does so fairly well. Yeah, she does stutter once. Honestly, that's not even a problem. Why am I even saying that? Yeah, she stutters once, but she uses all of the information that I have already said to Gilf, Mighty Jagerfest, the Shadow Population, the Daleks, the Parliament of Axelcorp, of how I said it twice, and yeah, her arc in this episode is basically learning to adapt, and learning to adapt to this new man. As who she thought he was, he's completely changed in more than a blink of an eye. Yeah. So, but she is. This also shows her light as like how she would deal in the situations when the Doctor is unavailable, when the Doctor is out in a coma, as he was in this episode. So yeah, that is much what Rose does. The Doctor, what does he do in this episode? Well, in this episode, there's not much to say, but there's a few good points. Yeah, he's in bed for most of the episode, I've already said. Yeah, like that point I said when he says help, when Rose says help me to him, that is a sort of bring it back. I was like, he has to do, he about to die, the Doctor, on instinct, because he still cares for Rose. He wouldn't just want her dead. He wakes up, blasts the Christmas tree, and then he does that. I mean, this is a very good point. I noted this out myself. When he points his little screwdriver at the robot forms, or pilot fish as he calls them, like, it's cold and empty. Like, he isn't anyone yet. He's just a shell. Yeah, he does have a soul, but that soul hasn't been found yet for this new regeneration, because personality changes. He hasn't found that yet, and that's why he's so cold and stare. In that moment, the Doctor still not a big fan of Jackie. Like, he's more lenient than he was because of the end. Yeah. Yeah. When he does wake up, he takes away the Scrax leader's weapons. I think it's his sword and then a staff. No, not a sword and a staff. The whip. He takes the whip up. It's like he whips something out with that. He's being snarky. He does make snarky comments from that one after. And yeah, and then he does all the things. Who am I? Am I sexy? Am I handsome? Am I cheeky? Am I reckless? And then he's the person who's going to push a big threatening button. So he's trying to find out who he is. And then he decides at the end of the episode that he is a no second chances guy. That was a ruthless thing. Like, yeah, would Eccleston have... I think Eccleston may have done that. Or depends on the situation. But if it was that same species, I don't think that Eccleston would have done that. David's Doctor did. So, yeah. And he was finding out himself who he was, and also finding out if Rose still wanted to be with him, as they did say at the end of the episode, do you want to be with me? Let's start the line for that again. What do you want to go next? Where do you want to go next? What are you going to do next? So, yeah, that was wrong. And the only other two things I can say about that, don't you think she looks tired? I think that there's another underappreciated moment from David Tennant's either, as well as from this episode. It's like, that's probably one of the most powerful things he's ever done, apart from maybe the Time Lord Victorious, moment in the Portals of Mars. So yeah. And yeah, it is defending speech to Sycorax. Like, this whole entire thing with him having a judge at the end is beautiful. Like, how the Doctor, like, he is away, but he doesn't condone these things. And the only other thing I can say about the Doctor is not actually about the Doctor himself. It's a song for 10, which is a really good song. It's actually his theme. It was played at the end of the episode. Don't know the words, but it's really good. I think that one is actually a Christmas song. So yeah, it's really good, and it sort of encapsulates. I said here, it's a fun, a cheery atmosphere. Like, the song is very happy, going with the flow sort of thing, like David's Doctor. Right, there's only 3 other characters I can really talk about. Maybe 4. I'll go with the 3 other ones. I don't think I really need this now, because I know what I'm going to say about the others. Let's go to Jackie. Jackie, when we first see her, she looks sort of depressed. Like, she's still, like, she knows she's traveling with the Doctor, but she wishes that she was home with her and safe. And she doesn't really learn much in this episode, apart from trying to see virtually another man in someone else's shoes as the same person as she already knew. Like, she does come to accept that by the end of the episode, because she says, "The mad, you're mad, the 2 of you." And it's like, that specific line implies like even though it's only been a day since she met this new incarnation of the Doctor, she's got to know him fairly well, and she's accepted to the fact of it. And that's pretty much her arc in this episode. Mickey's was one part of it, and honestly, he sort of accepted it quicker than Rose because he had met aliens prior to Jackie, only by a year. Like that's no, only by a day. But I'm trying to think of because she did see the aliens in Rose, the Autons, all nesting consciousness sort of thing that inhabits the Autons. If you're a fan of the classic Who, yeah. That is one part of his arc in this episode, and the other part is really that he's still, what's the right word to say? Thinking of Rose? Fawning at Rose. He's still wanting Rose to, yeah, but he's already sort of accepted that. I think he'd already accepted that by Boomtown. Definitely by Boomtown he'd accepted that. The fact that she wouldn't be coming back for him. Even though he did, there was that part when, just before the robot Santa's attack in the town, I was like, they are talking, and they are just trying to have a normal conversation. And I think that was very good to try and show that Mickey, it's like, he doesn't want the Doctor to be part of his whole life, or even though he does later accept that, later on in series 2. And that's pretty much him, I can think of. He has a decent arc in series 2. Like in series 1 he doesn't really have an arc, but in series 2 Mickey does have an arc. The only really other character I can really talk about is Harriet Jones. Sorry for that noise, if you can hear it. Harriet Jones, like you've seen her, last time we've seen her was World War III, the second episode of the Slovene two-parter story in series 1. And she's now Prime Minister, only by a landslide majority. What did I note down? I noted down that she's sort of ruthless, and she knows what needs to be done, but she's not doing it in the right way. Like that the last thing she does in this episode is a prime example of that. Like, I understand her reasoning for it. I think her reasoning is fine, but I don't think that justifies the actual killing of lives. Like, it wasn't their idea to come down, really. It was might be some of them, but it was probably the Sycorax leader. He decided, this is purple Earth, let's go down there and invade them. And so I think what she should have done instead is actually misaligned it, so like it almost hit the ship to sort of show them that, or not done that at all. So that's pretty much it, apart from one thing I've got to say. David Llewellyn, he doesn't do much in this episode because he is killed off around the halfway mark, roughly. But here's this guy who's a scientist, and he sends his probe hopefully to Mars. It ends up on the Sycorax ship. But it shows his bravery, even though it might not be his place to do so. He believes it his responsibility to take on the authority and say it was him that originally did it. It's his fault. And he dies from that. He dies from doing one thing he thought was right. And that's about it, really. So, that was my review of Series 2, Episode X, or 0, if you're American, I'm saying that again. The Christmas Invasion. Almost 15 years ago, wow. I don't know if I was watching it on this original broadcast. But wow. So this should come out, in my perspective, because it's about 9:30ish on a Thursday. It should come out tomorrow-ish, around 2-ish, around 2 o'clock-ish. But I don't know why I'm saying this, because by this point it'll already have come out for you. So and then I'll be doing daily videos up until the 2nd of January, where I'll have a longer review of Revolution of the Daleks because of what the impact of that episode will have for Series 13 and beyond. So, I thought this video was going to be longer than it is, but thank you very much, and goodbye, Mr. Scarlet.